Hello fellow Raiders, and welcome as a follow-up to my all main Tomb Raider games ranked and reviewed video. And given that Shadow of the Tomb Raider the definitive edition was recently released, I wanted to review some of the DLCs I haven't posted any content about on this channel, and I thought, why not rank them? That's what my channel has been doing for a year, ranking stuff about Tomb Raider. Of course, it's subjective, as always, and there are different criteria I'll come back to little by little, but the most important one is depth. Yes, let's go three-dimensional with this top Raider, and let's have a look at all the DLCs in Shadow of the Tomb Raider ranked.
Oye, fuera de mi oficina.
Sorry.
Cierra la puerta al salir.
Right.
Don't freak out if we don't have the same favorites, and let's have a chat about it instead. And if you didn't play any of them and watched this as a review, then I can already tell you that my overall experience has been that they enriched the content of the original game, like, you know, the Golden Mask and Lost Artifact did for Tomb Raider 2 and Tomb Raider 3. DLCs are also a good way to rectify and adjust what went wrong in the main game and propose even more challenges, more originality, to be creative and experimental. Let's start with the first DLC that was released for Shadow, and as you might have expected, it set the rules for the others to come. It was also a good way to further develop the characters and talk about history a little.
What? I'm supposed to accept that I'm Maya all of a sudden?
The final section with the tower and shit was okay and more challenging than any tombs in 2013. But it was also forgettable and failed to really refine the formula of the main game. It just took game mechanics we've been familiar with ever since the first entry in the reboot trilogy was released. The Forge left me a bittersweet impression, like a joke getting old. Yeah, that kind of joke.
You perv.
The Great Caiman was a decent addition to the main game and an enjoyable experience to live. The environment is excellent, but the level design lacks originality and it is quite forgettable, even more so than the Forge. The focus on platforming in the Great Caiman is somewhat the most compelling aspect in this DLC, and it sure is a nice addition. The first part of the levels was really meant to be immersive, and it took me some time to make my way through. It's just that there's nothing really refreshing about it.
Was that a joke?
No, it wasn't. Seriously, Tomb Raider 2 and 3 had better trap sections. The level design is what makes it worth though, otherwise just bark, no bite. In terms of execution, the Pillar bears strong similarities with the Forge, except it's more focused on orientation and navigation than its predecessor. Both are very linear, but the Pillar does a better job at making this more discreet, especially on harder difficulties, as Lara won't help much with her survival instincts.
No.
The action mostly takes place in the Mountain Temple, but the setting looks quite different from your first visit. First, there's a storm that is brewing. It really contributes to refine the ambience, making it somewhat more impressive and quite epic as a result. But it's not just about how the level looks. The environment impacts directly on your progression with zero quick-time event to break your immersion. The platforming sections in the DLC are easily among the toughest in the lot, and it is based on dynamic game mechanics unique to Shadow of the Tomb Raider, like rope swinging. The final combat section is tense, but adds nothing special to the product, except it had to be there. It's action-adventure, you know? The price of survival was the Force DLC, and one I thought was quite effective from a creative point of view. And yet, if you consider the way the DLC was built, you won't be surprised to learn that it shares many of the features of the first two DLCs in terms of gameplay. There's a time for platforms, a time for reflection, a time for action, and a time for contemplation. The formula is similar to the first two DLCs, nothing new under the sun. The only difference is how it was executed. It's dynamic and original, as Lara evolves in a potentially deadly environments and has to think in order to find her way out of this mess.
The spores are too deadly to cross.
Oh, really?
Perhaps it's not as impressive as the other three before it in this list, but the simplicity of its design is what I enjoyed the most. You don't need things to go boom to make a good level. Just saying. The Serpent's Heart is one of the most dynamic and straightforward chapters in the game. It kicks off as a rescue mission to save Colqui's brother, both of whom are natives of Paititi. Colqui is a guy you save in a side mission shortly after you made your first steps in the hidden city.
You made it out okay. Excellent. Aaron, this is the lady who broke me out of jail.
This DLC was built in a way giving it an artificial impression of length, thus the main puzzle was quite short but very intense. Well, if you can call that a puzzle, because it's mostly about platforming and shooting stuff. I like the idea of surviving piranha-infested waters on the raft, but I was disappointed that it was only about the raft.
Blades. Why does it always have to be blades?
There are moments you will have to jump off to avoid some obstacles, and I took these moments as a tribute to classic Tomb Raider. The collapsing slabs, you know. And so were piranhas. They're like a hint at Tomb Raider 3, so it felt good, of course. Ranking at the second position, the Path Home DLC was the most challenging for me, as there are many enemies you need to take down and move forward. The final puzzle was also quite difficult in comparison with other DLCs, and it really felt like an experience straight from classic Tomb Raider. Its particularity is the way it was paced. Action comes first, as it often does, but then it's just you, Lara, and the environment, and with all those visual clues and deadly traps, it sure felt like a classic Tomb Raider experience. It was also the first time I was able to use the photographer mode in some practical way. As the last DLC to have been released, unfortunately, it brought some minor parts of the story to a conclusion and presented itself as an in-between, from the moment you kill the final boss to the moment she gets back home. Ranking at the first position, The Nightmare has been my personal favorite ever since it came out, and I really hoped that there would be even better DLCs. Of all the DLCs in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, it was the most remarkable for the many gameplay variations they put. Give them a cookie, you spoony bard. Dream sequences have always been a great setting to experiment with level design, and ever since Lara's Nightmare in Rise of the Tomb Raider, this has been a staple. In the path of fear, as you take down waves of enemies, some of them will immediately respawn as another enemy type, which I think was surprising and quite pleasant as a result. Onto the final puzzle, there are also different paths you can take, either by instinct or just to test yourself, giving it great replayability. The Valley of the Monkey Gods. It's one of the best puzzles I have seen in a Tomb Raider game. And I mean this, perhaps because it's not really a puzzle, but it feels like one. It was like a throwback at some of the best puzzles found in previous Tomb Raider games like The Last Revelation and Underworld, with their gigantic and dynamic puzzles. This is it for this Top Raider video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to check my other Top Raider videos. They were made to be fun, entertaining and straight to the point. Talking about that, the next video will be about The Last Revelation. In the meantime, if there's anything you'd like to see me cover, be sure to subscribe and share your ideas in the comment section below. And remember,